Hello, welcome to Nokia's LinkedIn Live with Analysys Mason. Today we're discussing how the use of AI in operations, or AIOps, is the key to unlocking superior in-home quality of experience for telcos end users. So my name is Stephanie Gibbons. Joining me today from Nokia is Sandeep Saskakumar, Global Analytics Sales Leader for Nokia CNS. How you doing, Sandeep?
Hey, I'm doing great. How about you, Stephanie?
Doing well, thank you. And I'd like to offer a huge thank you to Adora Okaleki, Principal Analyst at Analysys Mason. Thank you for joining us today, Adora.
It's a pleasure, Stephanie. Thanks so much.
Good to see you.
Good to see
And
you.
to those joining in, please know you can drop your questions in the chat and we will do our best to answer during the Q&A that's going to follow this discussion. All right, let's get started. So we all know dynamic applications like cloud gaming and AR, VR, they're pushing the boundaries of that in-home user experience. So this creates unique challenges for telcos, but thankfully, AIOps is proving to be an effective solution right now. So using AI, machine learning, those intelligence techniques, AIOps leverages data and insights to automate network management, many other tasks, to ensure that high quality experience in the home. So that said, I'm going to ask this first question. Adora, I'm going to start with you if that's okay. So many CSP customers, they struggle with broadband connectivity issues. So what specific areas of customer experience do you see as the biggest pain points for telcos end users? And actually, to that point, how do you think telcos could improve NPS and churn, which we know are two key metrics that measure customer satisfaction?
Thank you very much, Stephanie, for your question. Based on our research, we see that there are two key pain points that are negatively impacting operators' end user experience. And these are the slow time for operators to respond to customer issues and the delivery and the inability to deliver positive experiences to their customers when they need assistance. Now, these two pain points are very likely to lower operators' customer satisfaction rates and therefore impact their ability to drive good net promoter scores and churn rates. Now, this view is also backed by a recent consumer survey that we conducted in the third quarter of 2023 with over 18,000 consumers across the globe. Now, through this survey, we identified that if operators improve four key elements of customer experience, being customer responsiveness, speed, service reliability, and pricing, by just a factor of 1 on a scale of 1 to 5, they are most likely to see a marked improvement in their net promoter scores and churn rate numbers. Now, for example, if you improve customer responsiveness by 1 point, this can lead to an increase in net promoter score of 15 points and reduce churn rate by almost 3%. Now, it then becomes really important for operators to really find ways to improve these the customer experience components if they are to achieve high customer satisfaction levels. Now, telcos can address these two pain points by offering end users predictive and responsive care. Now, by predictive care, we mean the delivery of a customer service that is both efficient and also reliable, such that it accurately preempts the need for customer service intervention, even before an issue occurs. Now, when operators deliver this level of care, customers will report fewer issues and they are less likely to request assistance. And that in itself will have an impact on OPEX costs. Now, by responsive care, what we mean is that operators are able to ensure that when customers do require assistance, they do receive a positive experience. Operators can deliver this responsive care by providing their agents with a clear understanding of customers' issues at hand. They can also empower their customers with various options to resolve these issues through their self-service apps. But overall, what we see is that operators that can prioritize delivery of responsive care and predictive care will see customers that are happier and are able to and those operators will be able to drive more positive experiences to their customers and in the long run reduce operational costs.
It's a lot of information around some of those metrics and what impacts them. So I appreciate that. It's a lot of insight. Sandeep, I'd love to turn it over to you to get yours and Nokia's perspective.
Yeah, Dora, I think you hit the nail on the head, right? So customers want to feel that they matter, that the services that they're getting, they are top notch, right, for the price that they're paying. So this is certainly the heart of all the matter areas, right? So when it comes to actually delivering a quality service or care for that matter, what you need to understand is what is the customer's experience, right?
Mhm.
Now, when you come up talk about broadband, from a CSP's perspective, right? So most CSPs are currently looking at what is the experience, what is the access like? So what is the connection to the router? How much throughput am I sending to the router? But the customer's experience is beyond that. Inside the home, what is happening, right? Maybe there is congestion in the Wi-Fi. Maybe there is a blind spot inside the home or a dread spot inside the home where there is no connectivity. So all of these things across the axis as well as inside the home contributes to what we call as customer experience. If you peel the onion one more layer, I mean, you go to the application level. Maybe the throughput is great on some applications. It's not great on another application. Or maybe it's great on one application till somebody else starts using the same application inside the same home, right? So experience starts to change. You talked about a lot about gaming in your note, right? So about gaming, I'm a gamer myself, right? So if you log on to a competition and you check your latency, and if it's beyond 10 milliseconds, I do not even participate in that game because there is no point, right? So and you might have prepared for that game for weeks, right? But it's useless. You do not get a good experience, and you cannot be competitive. You just end up ruining your reputation if you go and join that game with that kind of a latency. And of course, I'm going to be pissed with my operator at that point in time, my CSP is at that point in time. So an end-to-end experience is very important. And you talked a bit about churn and net promoter score, etc. Let me give you an example, right? So in the context of churn, one of the key things that are happening today is that the launch of the fixed wireless access services across the globe, right? And if you pick any of them, right, whether it's in Europe, whether it's in the US, they're experiencing very high degree of churn right now on their fixed wireless access. And that's particularly damaging to the operator because you spend a lot of money trying to acquire these customers, and at the same time you're losing them. There is a lot of device returns happening, and there is a lot of churn happening, and you're losing market share. There's a battle of market share going on, and it's being fought on customer experience, right? So when you look at why that is happening, you are comparing, as a customer, I'm comparing the service that I'm getting with my fiber connection that comes to my home, right? So an application like, for instance, a streaming application, Netflix, on a 4K TV inside my home needs to play without any freeze delays, without any buffering, without any resolution downgrades. And I need to feel that experience just the same way I was probably getting with my fiber connection to the home, right? If I do not get that, I'm going to be dissatisfied. And I would think that I'm being cheated of my money, right? Now, imagine multiple devices inside the home, all doing the same thing, doing streaming. You know, my daughter is probably doing her streaming in her room. My wife's probably doing something else in her room. I'm going to be on a conference like this. We all expect the same quality of experience. So unless you can take it down to an app level and understand what is happening with the experience, you cannot solve the NPS problem, and you will continue to have very high churn rates, some even as high as 30%. That's very damaging in the market where you're trying to gain market share. So customer experience and NPS are very, very strong needs for operators to actually start looking into AIOps and start radically rolling it out.
Sandeep, two things stand out. One, you and my boys would have a lot to talk about when it comes to video gaming and any latency and what that ends up doing to the experience. I'll park that there. Secondly, you said at the top of your comments, the experience, the end user needs to feel like they matter. So I actually like the fact that you are on the supplier side and the end user side, so you can speak to that with sincerity. So thank you. I really think this is a great kickoff to the discussion. Let's move it along and let's see. The second question I wanted to ask each of you, and Sandeep, I'll start with you this time. You are on a roll. AIOps is gaining traction as a tool to enhance the customer experience, improve operational efficiency, and optimize costs. So how do you believe AIOps can improve KPIs like first contact resolution, mean time to repair? And then, because I always have a follow-up, how could improving these metrics translate to a better customer experience for these broadband subscribers?
Great question, right? So, when you take up any CSP, there are three things they're interested in, right? One is improving your revenues, reducing your costs, right? And of course, improving your customer experience. These are the three things that every CSP is interested in. Now, let us call them business outcomes. What AI can help is, you have thousands of issues going on in your network right now, right? Some are on the access side, some are on the inside the home, some are specific to a customer, some are specific to the network. All of these are going on. What AI can help you understand is, how is it affecting your business metrics? How is that affecting your cost? How is that affecting your customer experience? How is that affecting your ability to provide differentiated services, etc.? And then help you quantify the impact of that on your business and help you prioritize what is the issue that I should, tackle first, right? And when you say, hey, this is the issue I should tackle first, AI can also take you to one step further and say, these are the likely root causes why this issue is happening, and what are the possible set of next best actions. Now, what that helps you do is let you zoom back to a live situation. There is an issue going on the network, so just started and it's starting to affect, let's say, customers in a certain node, right? You have the ability to now act very quickly because AI has brought it to you even before a customer has actually made the effort to make a phone call to you. And you can be proactive. You go out there and you fix it and you let your customer know that, hey, we just discovered this. You might have lost connection for 5 minutes. We have fixed this. We fix this now. And the customer feels, hey, I matter, right? They care about my experience. They looked out for me. And even before I realize there's a problem, they tell me there's a problem and that they have fixed it, right? That's a great customer experience. When you call into a call center and you say, I have this problem, how informed can the agent be? Is there AI can actually support that interaction and say, hey, this is why this person is having that problem. I've validated it. Instead of making him on the phone for like 25 minutes trying to troubleshoot, if AI can already support that conversation, the customer feels like, yes, these guys get it. They understand the issue, right? A great example I can give you is when I was shifting homes last year. I had a problem wherein my YouTube was buffering a lot. And it was, and there were a lot of resolution downgrades that was happening. I tried to talk to my service provider, and they told me, "Hey, you have exactly the same, you have exactly the same quality of service as you had in your last home." But I said, "Look, but the problem is that I didn't have this YouTube problem back then. Now I have it, right? And I have the exact same setup as I had last time. Nothing's changed, right? The Wi-Fi router is the same." Everything's the same, and I'm using a cable directly connected to the router. So why is this happening? They were not able to understand at an application level. They did not have the data at an application level to understand the experience was bad. They could only talk about the connection to the home, right? So investing in data and investing in AI can help move along the needle for customer experience, which directly starts impacting churn. And because customer satisfaction is the key to churn.
Excellent. Again, customer matters, and you show them that by helping them avoid the buffering wheel of doom.
Yeah.
They're not like that. Thanks, Sandeep. Adora, it does seem like you have a couple things to add there, so please.
Well, Sandeep has covered this really well. If I were to add, operators will be able to, achieve the things that you've talked about, Sandeep, in terms of, being able to drive be more predictive and preemptive in terms of how they interact with their customers, because AIOps gives them the opportunity to get a more holistic view of their networks and the in-home services that they're delivering. It also helps them to identify root causes through the ability of the systems to correlate the different variables associated with the different data sets that these systems get to analyze. And those correlations will then also help with not just identifying the root causes, but also identifying the remedial actions, because you are working with different systems, and potentially, where it is possible, trigger the relevant automated workflows to address issues even before customers notice them. Now, but AIOps is able to achieve this, and it's all about data. It's about taking not just data, but taking a more consolidated approach. Sandeep, you talked about your experience where the care agent that you were speaking with was just saying only had access to the network data, but not the application level data. What AIOps brings is the ability to consolidate data and bring it into a single environment where it can now apply advanced analytical capabilities like machine learning and other AI technologies to analyze this data, both real-time and historical data, to then derive the necessary correlations and insights, which can then help to address issues or to identify issues when they occur and potentially address them, or indeed predict those issues before they occur. Now, but it is not just about stopping there in terms of identifying the issues, but it's also about linking those issues or integrating the insights generated by the AI systems used in AIOps practice to operational systems such as CRM systems or other BSS or OSS systems. And these insights feed into these systems, which can then support, for example, customer care agents when interacting with customers, answering their queries, providing them with timely and accurate insights to issues that they raise with them, but also field operatives or engineers in the network operating centers can actually utilize these insights. For example, recommendations that the AI systems have learned from historical data, maybe manuals that relate to similar situations that they may be addressing, to help raise the necessary recommendations that they can then apply to a potential problem and address that situation. Now, the outcome of this is that operators can potentially reduce their first contact resolution rates, and potentially increase customer satisfaction numbers, because agents are a lot more informed, they're a lot more aware of the issues, and they can promptly address those issues. Engineers who need to go to the field, for example, to address an issue, don't have to spend as much time resolving the issue, because they have an assistant like an AI agent that is providing them with the relevant information to address a system. That would impact the mean time to repair those issues and potentially drive improved experiences for customers who don't have to wait hours or potentially days to have an issue resolved. So really, this is how we see AIOps, really driving value for operators who want to improve customer experience for their customers.
I appreciate that, Adora. I heard parallels between the two answers here, and that was the ability to gather the data, to get it down to the application, which not only improves and enhances that customer experience, but also allows it to be customized to that user and what is happening in that user's home. So that's a compelling proposition to be able to bring to our customers that our CSPs can then push out to theirs as well. So thank you. Let's keep moving on. And I think I'm going to keep Adora in the hot seat here for our next question. So we know that AIOps can provide real-time insights to operations and customer support teams. We've been talking about that. So how do you think telcos can leverage the latest AI technology, Gen AI, to empower both internal teams and ultimately improve that customer self-care?
Sure. Thanks so much. Thanks so much, Stephanie, for that question. I think this discussion will be incomplete if we don't talk about Gen AI. So yeah, definitely we will talk about Gen AI. I think Gen AI as a new AI technology has an important role to play, particularly in the whole AIOps circle for both the customer care agents as well as engineers working in the field or at the network operating centers, because these agents can leverage Gen AI to improve their levels of productivity, because the lack of responsiveness to customer inquiry and the time it takes them to resolve issues is impacted by how quickly they can get access to information. And that is where Gen AI thrives. For the customer agents, for example, Gen AI can help them with retrieving relevant information from potentially troves of documentation that they have available to them when they need to respond to issues, rather than the agents going through all of that information on their own. Gen AI has the capability to go through that information very quickly and pinpoint the exact information that they need and present that to them, and that enhances their productivity levels. Gen AI can also help the care agents to summarize discussions with customers to identify the key points in those discussions, and then the care agent can work based on those key points to identify what needs to be addressed and then begin to address those. Now, those key points become inputs to another Gen AI system, for example, that specializes in retrieving information. So these are two areas where Gen AI can support the customer care agent. It's also somewhat similar to the field engineers who also would need access to information when they're on the field. Many times they could get, they spend a lot of time on the field, again, because they probably are trying to understand what the issue is, or need to still go through a lot of manuals to really understand the context of the problem and how to resolve that problem. But by leveraging Gen AI-based tool sets that can help to pinpoint information that is relevant to them, they can better solve problems and quickly solve those problems for their customers. Now, these Gen AI capabilities can be exposed to customers to provide self-service capabilities to those customers who are tech savvy and prefer to resolve issues on their own, either using the mobile apps provided by the operators or through the websites. However, it is important to state that we're still in the very nascent stages of operators exposing these Gen AI capabilities to their customers. I think most of what we're seeing is the use of Gen AI to improve the productivity levels of their employees. And over time, as they develop more confidence in the use of this technology, they begin to expose them to their customers to begin to address issues on their own. But we are seeing operators like BT, Telefonica, very few operators who are beginning to use this technology to support their customers in the customer care center, and we expect that as operators mature in their use of this technology, we'll see a lot more of our operators using Gen AI to support their customers as they engage with them.
Great. Thank you, Adora. Sandeep, I want to give you all the time, so please jump on in.
So Gen AI, brings a level of intelligence we previously thought was not possible, right? With the traditional telco AI we were looking into. So people were blown away by what ChatGPT could do, right? For instance, I remember talking to ChatGPT about, hey, why is my daughter feeling tired every day after school, right? And we worked through various scenarios, and eventually it suggested maybe she's just dehydrated. So make sure she has more water, right? And that was it. Right. So, it gives us a way of working through throes of documentation, like how you described, Adora, right? And understanding how to get to the gist of the matters quickly, right? Having said that, I think, for an operator, there are two parts, right? So one is the operations part of how you run your network, and then there's a customer experience part. On the operations part, especially when we talk about AIOps, beyond the ability to have a conversation with an agent or with a customer, What GenAI gives you is the ability to understand the underlying rules and complex processes that are involved, let's say in matters like RF optimization, for instance, right? It can basically vectorize that whole guidebook for RF optimization into a math token, right, and consume it. And then when there is a problem that happens in the network, it can actually tell you what to do in the context of where your network is today. That saves thousands of hours of work. Logs that come out, log analysis is very time consuming when you're trying to do troubleshooting. This analysis through thousands of lines of logs can be done by a Gen AI algorithm very easily and tell you exactly what's going on in the network and where you should hit. So the heavy lifting, which is required to detect problems quickly, isolate the root causes, and decide what to do next, where AIOps is expected to function and bring in that efficiency, cannot be achieved without using Gen AI. Because telco AI, traditional machine learning does have its limitations, or it can be very complicated to set something up, which can cover a lot of use cases using traditional ML. Now, on the customer side, you did hint to the fact that, hey, there's throes of information. How can a customer service expert be more informative and wade through that and be more reactive to the customer? Spot on, actually. So having an AI agent work alongside the customer, transcribing as the customer is describing the problems, looking into the network where the issue is, bring that information to the agent. I mean, just makes you look far more professional and informed before your customer, and just helps you shoot up that net promoter score, right, when you do through that interaction. If I go one step beyond, let me take maybe 3 steps beyond into the future, right? Ultimately, what is the promise of 5G or 6G or whatever does that matter? It's the ability to decide what kind of an experience do I want to have, right? And operators, I believe, are moving beyond, or should move beyond, being just a utility company and being an experience provider. So from that context, you can think about Gen AI being a way for end customers to have a conversation with the network. Similar to, you go to a restaurant, you have a conversation with the chef about what kind of a dish you would like to have, and have that served to you, right? As a network has a conversation with you, you arrive at what kind of service you need, and then request it from the operator, right? If we are looking about that future, Gen AI does give you the ability to have that conversation and do it. That's the only way we can actually take this capability of whatever we call it, network as a code or monetization or 5G dynamic services, whatever, to the mass audience. This is one way to do it. And that's where I believe the promise of Gen AI is.
You said something in there, and I can hear the next headline: CSPs, digital transformation, move from CSPs to DSPs to DEPs, digital experience providers, powered by Gen AI. So
absolutely,
I will get right on that. Fantastic, Sandeep. But I appreciate, Adora, you brought in some operator examples there. And Sandeep, you talked about the 2 different ways in which we can use Gen AI. That's really important. So I am conscious of time. I'm going to bring this next question back to you, Sandeep. What are some of the main AIOps use cases you see for telcos? And more importantly, can you talk about some real world examples of today's telcos using AIOps specifically for this in-home user experience?
Yeah, so within in-home user experience, right? So the largest use cases are around operational efficiency, understanding if if you need a truck run to happen to the home or not, because these are expensive, right? You are trying to understand if a care agent needs to be involved in a conversation, or can it be done by a self-service bot, right? Understanding, if there is a fiber cut happening in which area of the network, is there a service degradation happening on the network? These kind of areas, proactive care is where you have traditional ML applied a lot. And there are a lot of churn models out there that help you understand the impact of these things. A lot of that is siloed, but this is the way it is applied today, right? But as we spoke about Gen AI in the previous conversation, right? And what I want to point out to is more than traditional AI, there's a huge amount of investment right now going into Gen AI. The Global Telco AI Alliance, right, which is Etisalat, SKT, Deutsche Telekom, bunch of those operators coming together. They invested $100 million into an AI startup called Anthropic last year, right? And this year, in June, they're announcing a telco-specific LLM. These kind of investment levels that are going in clearly show the disruptive potential of AI and Gen AI and the kind of use cases that can flow out of that. These use cases will have everything to do from operations to customer care and dynamic customer experiences, and will directly start impacting the P&L of the operator, right? Which is why you see these kind of investments going in. So it's not so distant. The future is not so distant. It's almost here. And we see the potential of AI being fully utilized by the operator.
Thank you. I'm going to pass it over to you, Adora.
All right, thanks, Stephanie, and thanks, Sandeep. That was really insightful. I'll take a step back, maybe, and just share, not a step back, but just share an example of an operator that isn't using Gen AI for to support AIOps at this moment, but is actually using some form of other AI technique like machine learning to make that transition from being reactive and network centric to being more customer centric. I'll raise the example of Fujian Mobile, which is a part of the China Mobile Group. They are a good example of an operator that's been active in this area. This operator had a customer satisfaction rating that was less than that of its competitors in its local market, and was also below the group's average score. Now, several factors accounted for this, including taking a non-customer centric approach to monitoring its customer experience. It was focused mainly on the network, and we all know that a network centric approach to trying to address customer experience issues creates gaps in visibility, in the visibility in understanding customers' actual experience of a service, and there were also complex operational issues that the operator had to address, and the operator also had an inability to unify information across its OSS systems. So this kind of comes back to one of the points we raised earlier, which is the fact that AIOps will enable enable operators to take a more consolidated approach as opposed to analyzing data in silos. But in the case of Fujian Mobile, they were running a more siloed approach, and Fujian Mobile, having understanding the situation it was in, decided to take a more AIOps approach to manage its fixed broadband services. Now, the solution it decided to implement was one that unified its operational data from across its OSS systems. So we're talking about consolidating data from fault management systems, performance management systems, and service management systems, and they decided to use a decoupled and open architecture. I believe with this architecture, they had the ability to customize or make changes to this solution as the business evolved over time. And a second approach they decided to implement was to apply AI models, which were then used to predict customer issues, potential deterioration in customer experience, and this models also then help them to take more proactive steps in resolving those issues by helping them identify the root causes to the issues that they were able to predict, which then resulted in them averting negative experience, avoiding negative experiences for their customers. Now, following the implementation of this solution, Fujian was able to kind of achieve very interesting results. For example, the operator was able to achieve 53% improvement in customer satisfaction score, and its mean time to repair was reduced from 2 hours to literally 10 minutes. That's the result, the type of results you get when you don't have to deal with data in silos, but you deal with data in a consolidated environment, you are able to draw insights from the correlations that exist between these data assets and use those insights to run more efficient operations. And finally, the operator was able to achieve 95% improvement in terms of repeat, in terms of visits to customer premises to resolve issues. I think they saw a 95% reduction in the need for repeat visits to customer premises. And with that level of improvement, we can see that this operator is driving more optimal operations and engagements with its customers.
Adora, those are some pretty powerful metric improvements. Thank you for sharing the data around that case study. And I think that's a great way to start wrapping up this conversation, because I do think overall this is a topic we could discuss for hours. So I will wrap us up, but before that happens, I would love to just see if you have any other final comments. And since Adora, let's start with you because you've been on a roll here. So any final comments? Just a minute or two.
Sure. Thanks so much, Stephanie. I think at the heart of every AIOps implementation is the ability to access reliable data and do so very quickly. I think we talked a lot about AI, we talked a lot about data, but I think at the heart of this is the ability for operators to get access to the right data and insights, the first time doing that correctly, and this is so important for any operator considering AIOps, and they need to really have in mind or really begin to craft a very robust data strategy backed by a robust data pipeline that will consistently deliver high quality data assets for their AIOps functions. I think it's also fair to say that we are still in the very early stages of the adoption of new AI technologies like Gen AI. I think today's use cases of text summarization and information search, which we've talked a lot about during this discussion, does address very pertinent issues impacting operators' ability to really get to the heart of customer issues very quickly. But our view, right, at Analysys Mason, is that this is just the tip of the iceberg of what's possible with Gen AI. Gen AI has the potential to drive automation use cases, which are a lot more advanced compared to what we have today. And this is where operators need to be, placing their investments in. However, we do bear in mind that achieving these use cases will require operators dealing with some of the concerns that we have today. I started off by talking about data. There are also integration issues. There are also issues around data privacy concerns that operators will need to address when it comes to using Gen AI. At Analysys Mason, we are broadening our research focus around AIOps. In fact, currently, I'm working with another colleague of mine looking at AIOps and focusing really on understanding the best practices operators will need to bear in mind to successfully implement AIOps within the context of network operations. We are also examining the adoption of Gen AI and its use within AIOps workflows as well. We are, also looking at the needs that vendors such as Nokia and other network equipment providers and telecom application providers need to address to help operators simplify the adoption of AIOps. Because what we see is that the operator and vendor landscapes are continuously evolving, and our customers continue to have many questions about how to go through this evolution. And so our research is really focused on studying these dynamics and the implications of these changes on the different ecosystem players. Just to take this opportunity to mention that my colleagues and I will be attending the Digital Transformation World Conference in Copenhagen in a couple of weeks' time in June, and we will be happy to share some of our insights from the research that we're doing around the topic of AI. And more importantly, we'll be looking forward to learning from you, the audience, about your experiences using this technology.
Thank you, Adora. Sandeep, you have an open and direct line to our customers. I really appreciate your point of view as well.
So Adora, I look forward to catching you up at DTW, right? I'll be there as well, along with the sizable Nokia contingent. So let's make it their party, right? So I want to go back to what I said earlier, being a digital experience provider, right? The future is clearly beyond connectivity. It's all about experiences and specifically enabling multitudes of customer experiences, right? Now, in that context, customers have started realizing that this already, right? And they have started having very open dialogues with us, vendors, about how to leverage AI and Gen AI, etc. And the data topic keeps coming up, right? So what Nokia is doing is we are spending a lot of time and effort and R&D dollars into productizing data, right? So that you have a very clear set of data products on which you can start building your AI. Because if you solve the data problem, the use cases will start to flow from there, right? And being a telco vendor with years of experience in telco and network data, we felt this is a problem that we had to solve for our customers, and we are spending a lot of time and energy doing that, right? And this has been very well accepted. And as I said, there's a very open conversation that we are having with the operators right now, right? And they see us more like partners. In fact, they request us to be more like partners, right, than vendors, right? And they are opening up their books and showing us how things are inside as well, so that we can be more cooperative going forward. So this brings us down to the vendor ecosystem that they want to build, our role there, what kind of data, what kind of challenges we would have, how would we handle the cloud, the privacy things when you want to leverage cloud technologies for that matter. What is the best technology for a certain use case? We're having these very, very good conversations right now. And being Nokia and being, with our heritage of Bell Labs and everything that we bring to the table from an innovation standpoint, we have invested time, effort, and our money where the customers' needs are, right? Which is in enabling them to do that rapid transformation to AIOps and using Gen AI technologies as fast as possible to unlock the disruptive value that lies there. I'm fully confident that the industry will learn to leverage AI, specifically Gen AI, across all the moments of truth in a customer's journey, whether it's on the operations side, whether it's on the experience side, whether it's on the customer care side, or self-care for that matter, or digital channels. It will be leveraged all throughout, right? And Nokia is committed to helping operators get there the fastest possible way.
Indeed. Thank you. The moments of truth throughout the network. I really appreciate each of your insights today. They've been really interesting to listen to. I'm glad we're able to share them today. And for those listening in, please, again, feel free to submit your questions in the Q&A box if you haven't already. You'll also see a QR code that will take you to a quick survey about this experience today. So we'd love to hear your comments and your feedback. So again, on behalf of Nokia CNS, thank you all for joining today.
Thank you, Stephanie.